Weird goodbye. Sure, but what is it? Tove understood that the Overseer had every reason to be sceptical, but this was going a bit too far. It's an Artok. One of them big fuckers that wander out of Sedania sometimes. She waved in a direction that was probably northward. Surely they'd get how useful having such a creature would be. And you're certain it won't attack any of my crew? The Overseer tried to figure out where the catch was. There was almost always something with Ice Walkers. I have a real difficulty getting people out here sometimes, and the last thing I want is to have to send down for more from Wreck. Nah, none of that. We'll look after it and make sure it doesn't do anything. And make sure none of your lot do anything too. Tove kept that last bit to herself. The last thing she needed was for the Overseer to start thinking about what Novazella's guard might do. Besides, more Mithril's more Mithril. It's not like the nation's swimming in it. The Overseer grimaced at that last bit. Fine. If you get the go-ahead, then I'll allow it. But any funny business, and it's back out into the storm. Overview. 2 seasons ago, reports of the Icebarn twins, a pair of Artok, reached the people of Wintermark. The 2 icy giants tread a strange shifting route that sees them vanish into Sedania for years at a time. Their coming was forewarned by the Cold Hand of Sarda, a small group of Ice Walkers who reported that the pair were being tracked by 2 warbands of Jotun. During the summer solstice, the banner-bearer of Atkonarok and the keeper of the Rune Grot were each charged with leading a group of Imperial heroes through the Sentinel Gate to kill the Jotun and deal with Big Icebarn and Little Icebarn, respectively. Both warbands of Jotun were dealt with, and Big Icebarn was marked with the runes of Dominion and Battle, whilst Little Icebarn was marked with the runes of Dominion and Wealth. The Cold Hands of Sarda have been observing the Artok and now, 6 months later, present what could be done with these massive creatures of ice. Big Icebarn. Big Icebarn was marked with the runes of Hiermok and Yotra. The banner-bearer of Atkonarok can decide which task to set Big Icebarn to. The first of the Artok was marked with the runes of Scythe and Swords. Dominion allows a degree of control over the Artok, or at least enough that it won't destroy its surroundings. Marked with Battle, the Artok is focused and strengthened in its tasks. The Ice Walkers of the Cold Hand of Sarda have 2 suggestions for what could be done with Big Icebarn. It could be sent into Kalsi, the Jotun kingdom of the north, to cause destruction and distraction. Or it could be kept within Sermasuak and tasked with killing the monsters of Agramant or the beasts of Hayak. Ultimately, the decision of what to do with Big Icebarn is the responsibility of the banner-bearer of Atkonarok, Liv Tigering. The decision must be made at the upcoming summit by informing Sulcavaris, and once decided, cannot be changed. Yotra. Big Icebarn could be used to distract the Jotun of Skalan or Tromsø. Sending Big Icebarn raiding would increase the production of any Wintermark military unit captains who raided the Jotun this season by 1 rank. Big Icebarn could be used to kill either monsters of Agramant or beasts of Hayak in Sermasuak. Sending Big Icebarn hunting would increase the production of any Wintermark military unit captains who hunted monsters in Sermasuak this season by 1 rank. If either option was supported by 1,000 strength, it would then continue next season. The Empire has raided the Jotun several times in recent years. The attack into Sermasuak, the raid on Skalan, and its subsequent follow-up. The ongoing efforts to raid the coast and the recent resurgence in raiding the Jotun have demonstrated the Empire's willingness to give as good as they get from the Jotun, whose warbands also raid into Imperial lands. The largest barrier to raiding the Jotun is the many Jarls and their fyrds. Sending Big Icebarn into Kalsi would be akin to unleashing a toddler onto a stall of sweet treats. Every Jarl would need to respond, drawing their oath-sworn warriors to them and defending their thralls. Such a move would allow the military units of the Winterfolk to take full advantage, ambushing warriors, pillaging abandoned halls, or simply forcing a warband to fight. The destructive nature of the Artok and the aggression of the Jarls will drive Big Icebarn back north if it's not supported. If at least 1,000 strength is assigned from the military units of Wintermark this season, then it will be available again after the spring equinox. Otherwise, Big Ice Barn will retreat northwards back into Sedania. Alternatively, the empty plains of Surma Suak have been plagued by monsters for 2 years. Heroes and glory hunters have travelled to the territory to battle the monsters of Agrement and to hunt the beasts of Hayak. Sending Big Ice Barn hunting would be lighting a flame near the hives of a blood moth. The monsters and beasts can't help but be drawn to such a powerful creature. This would give Wintermark military units a much easier time, able to slay more of the dangerous hunters of the Suak wastes. So many heralds, beasts, and monsters drawn to the Artok would see it driven into Sedania, unless supported by enough Winterfolk. If at least 1,000 strength is assigned from the military units of Wintermark this season, then it will be available again after the spring equinox. Otherwise, Big Ice Barn will retreat northwards. Little Ice Barn. Little Ice Barn was marked with the runes of Hirmok and Palace. The keeper of the rune grot can decide which task to set Little Ice Barn to. The second of the Artok was marked with the runes of Scythe and Apple Tree. The rune of Dominion hopefully exerts a small modicum of control, or at least enough that the Artok would remain where it was kept, marked with wealth to focus and bind it in its task. The Ice Walkers of the Cold Hand of Sada have 2 suggestions for what Little Ice Barn could be tasked with. It could be sent into the Pride of Icus Tears, the mithril mine in the Suak Fount, to hammer and claw away at the ore veins. Or it could be set to constructing and hauling for new commissions in the territory. Ultimately, the decision of what to do with Little Ice Barn is the responsibility of the keeper of the rune grot, Derowyn. The decision must be made at the upcoming summit by informing Sulcavaris, and once decided, it cannot be changed. Palace. Little Ice Barn could be used to mine mithril in the Pride of Icus Tears. Sending Little Ice Barn mining would increase production of the Pride by 4 wains of mithril a season for a year. Little Ice Barn could be used to build constructions in Surma Suak. Sending Little Ice Barn building would allow a commission that would not count towards the Senate's limited supply and would fulfill all labour costs for a year. The Pride of Icus Tears was first discovered 7 years ago by noted civil servant Peter of Hintown. The Senate passed a motion to develop the mine that season. This was followed 2 years later by the dispatching of prospectors to explore expanding workings of the mine. The Pride was expanded on once the territory had been reclaimed from the Jotun. There are large veins within the workings that are just too inaccessible and too dangerous for the workers to make it worthwhile. But an Artok set to work could claw out great hunks of the ore and deliver it back to the overseers without danger. Little Ice Barn could be set to mine mithril, equivalent to 4 wains each season for the next year. Alternatively, Little Ice Barn could be set to build all kinds of things for the benefit of the territory. The Cold Hands of Sada have planned for how to best keep the Artok moving and active, reapplying the runes of Hermok and Pallas each day with rendered mammoth tallow. Little Ice Barn could be used to build any civilian commission in the territory. The huge creature of ice set to hauling and lifting vast amounts of stone and timber. Architects and labourers would be drawn from across Wintermark and beyond to get to work alongside an Artok. Each construction would still need to be raised and passed as a motion, but would not use one of the limited commissions available to the Senate. The labour of Little Ice Barn would also count towards all labour costs. Only the mithril, weirwood or white granite would need to be provided for a commission overseen by the Artok.